Welcome everybody to Broadbelt Speaks, and today we will be doing our random thoughts.
Yes, another session of random thoughts
Yeah.
where we just speak what's on our mind.
Yeah, randomly.
Yeah.
Oh, how was your
Uh,
day?
You know, my day was actually good. I'm about to start a new position on Monday, so it's like this is the countdown. This whole week has been a countdown for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
he gonna be acting brand new, y'all. So
I am.
just wait
I
on
am.
it.
I'm about to move into the white neighborhood. Nah. No. I did want to say. I think I was telling you earlier. So if everyone, I was listening to Paul Mooney, the comedian, the black comedian, and he said this one joke about. Why people don't want us in their neighborhoods. He was like, walking on their property and coming in and moving in, and he was, and I'm paraphrasing, I might mess the joke up, but hopefully I don't. And he was like, I wouldn't want black people moving in my neighborhoods either and get arrested for stolen property. And the whole crowd got silent, and because he was talking about how black people were stolen from Africa, and now we're stolen property, and even getting to the fact that we were brought over here as just products, so we were property for white people, and that's how they looked at us. And now he was like, we're stolen property. So, but anyway, I just wanted to say that.
I mean, I think it would have been funnier coming from Paul.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And it was. He had it on point as far as.
And he's so dry.
Yeah, but that's what everyone is used to, his dryness. So he
That's
has
what
that.
makes him.
Yeah, I mean.
Is he still living?
I'm not sure. I want to say yes. Maybe someone out there knows, but I want to say he is.
Okay, all right.
But he's super funny.
Yeah.
Super funny.
I've seen him in stand up before.
Yeah.
But thank you for the joke. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But so randomly, a conversation came up today with one of my friends about open relationships. I've never gave it a thought until today. Now, hey, I'm a person, I change my mind real quick. I could be set in stone one day on something, but then I get some new information that makes me change my mind. So, what do you think about open relationships? Are you for or against it, or like?
It's it depends on where you are in your life, I would say, and what you're looking for. So it's one of those things. If I'm so wanting to tie down this individual, this woman that I'm with, then I don't know if I want her to be in an open relationship. Maybe I'm okay with being in an open relationship on my end. But on her end, I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Step back. I am the king here.
But she's the queen. She's the queen if you're the king.
She is. But I'm the only one with concubines.
But I mean, you could say that too, but it could be the other way as well.
It can. So I do know people who do have that type of open relationship where both, are open to others, or they do. I think one way to go about it is where. To where there's always a conversation prior to bringing anyone in, and that way the two that are in a relationship are always aware. Now, if it's open to the fact to where when I'm not around you, I'm doing whatever, and you're doing whatever, that's a whole nother type of open.
I think that's where my friend was coming from. Like. He was totally just like, when we're together, but we're having a relationship. Right. And then when we're not, and we're individual people doing whatever, but you have a understanding that you know, what y'all have is something solid within whatever realm that y'all created for yourselves.
So for both of them, so they both
It was
are
yeah.
able to, okay.
Yeah, it was for both of them.
Um,
And I just was like, well, I never thought about it like that, you know, because I've always thought about open relationships, like you were just saying, like you have a conversation about it, you know, if I'm feeling somebody else.
You bring that person in.
Yeah,
for both of you. So usually, I know how the men that I know how we look at it. And I have to say, I'm part of that too, where I'm looking at it from the standpoint of bringing in another woman.
Right.
In a relationship, and then you know, me and the woman I'm with, we have the conversation to determine is this woman a good fit for us to be with. But it's usually that works if the woman you're with likes women, and she doesn't want to deal with any other man.
Right.
Now, if you have a conversation with the woman you're dating, or with the woman who's dating a man, and she's talking about an open relationship. If you're having a conversation to say when we're apart, we both do whatever, that to me that determines on how secure the relationship is.
That's right.
Because I think the first thing that both parties start to think is, how much time are they spending with this other person outside of me, and are they starting to catch feelings? You know, and we all know the first thing that we attached to is that pleasure, that physical, and then it becomes mental as well.
You're right.
And are you starting to slack on what you should be doing within a relationship? And if you're starting to slack, then there's already someone else who has a foot in the door, and does that door open up even wider for them to come in? Because the two of you starting to have, which that's just a normal relationship, it's up and down. So while things are down, you know, how traumatic is it to have someone else with the ability to come in and,
and then have access
exactly
like that. That would have to be something strong.
Now when the two of you come together and it's always an agreement between the two of you to bring someone in, then that way, if the relationship is at a down point, then you can be like, nah, this is not a good time, you know, for us to bring someone in, because me and you are not on the same page. Right
so now. Then that would be trouble in the waters.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I mean, you know, to each is, you know, its own. Yeah. I truly do think for that type of open relationship, it has to be a strong stability. Yeah,
that's what he was talking about. But when I was listening to it, I didn't think about all those other variables.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that would be kind of nice, you know. But totally didn't think of like the catching the feelings, and you know, and then you're around that person. So I wonder if you was to be in an open relationship, you could say, hey, but it can't be like with that same person over and over and over and over and over again. You can't build a relationship outside of this relationship. Yes. But you can have, you know, sometimes you're attracted to someone and it's just that, you know.
And that's all it is, it's strictly physical.
Right. And so I wonder how that can play into, you know, just allow you to be attracted to someone and it's only that, and then, you know, you have your relationship on the other.
Well, you know, they say, and I would have to actually do the research on this, but they say, you know, we're the only animals who are, you know, out as far as all the other creatures that try to practice monogamy. You know, everyone else, they you know, procreate for that reason. You know, they have said just for the reason to procreate. We have it for pleasure and enjoyment and you know, to satisfy each other. So it's different. And with that, we try to create, you know, monogamous relationships with people, but we tend to want to step out of that more often than not. On both sides. To me, I think it's equal between
really equal.
Men and women.
Yeah,
it's just
we
more
are
highlighted
more
for men.
No, I just think we're more disciplined. Not highlighted. I just think it's just a discipline.
Okay, so let's talk about, is it more disciplined because of the way society breeds women? You know, that's from an early age, women are taught to be with that one person and to save yourself. While men, as young men, it's almost
encouraged
yeah,
to go
to be like,
through
hey,
the
you know,
roles.
exactly, get out there, you know, sleep with, you know, as many as women, you know, get that out. It's almost like get that out of your system.
Yeah. Which it should be that way, I think, for
both.
I do, but in a respectful way for women. And the only reason why I say that is because I just feel like, you know, when you're entering into a woman is a different dynamic than the man giving it to the woman, if that makes sense. Like, we have a lot going on up in us. And if you, I don't know, it's just, to me, you just have to, you have to be more careful, to me, if you're
As a woman.
Yeah.
Right. So how you know, especially today, and not just today, it's always been this, where, you know, you have men who are promiscuous, you have women who are promiscuous. How easier is it for a man to be that way than it is for a woman, or is it pretty much equal? Can women, you know, be just as promiscuous as a man and not have feelings for everyone that they are having sex with?
I have had plenty of friends that was able to do that, but I cannot sit here and say they didn't have issues. Like, like every last one of them had issues, but they was coping with their issues through that, and that's fine. You know, sometimes it takes that, but I don't know how they would react to sexual partners if they didn't have issues. Right. See what I'm saying? And then I have a lot of women that don't have issues, and those are the one, but they might be programmed. You just don't never know. But those are the ones that are very particular about who they have sex with and like what they're bringing to the table. And so it's just like the ones that's with multiple issues, they're freer a little bit. I don't know if it's freer or not, but then the ones that don't have a lot of issues, they have like more standards.
Or is it more confined? Or,
it might be confinement, but it's, I don't know, because that's a thin line. It's like standards or confinement, because sometimes standards, it may be viewed as confinement, but in actuality, it's just a form of discipline for their higher self or for their spirit, because sometimes sex will interfere and you just within your life, sex can fuck some shit up, you know. So I don't know if I want to say confinement.
Okay.
I think it's more so standard.
And then let's look at, because I know we were using the term promiscuous, so let's just remove that, because I think sometimes that has a negative tone.
Yeah,
let's just say, you know, not actually, you know, promiscuous, but not sleeping around, but sleeping with no ties to the person. So how is it for a woman to be like, almost like, you know, how people use the term friends with benefits. So your friends, and the benefit is that you have sex together, but you're not together. So you can still go on dates and this and that, but do feelings ever get involved? Because even when you think about the movie, you know, they started off like that, but then they both start catching feelings at different points within that. And then at the end, they ended up, now of course this is a movie, so fantasy. They ended up getting together. But, you know, how possible is that to completely separate? And I know men say it's a lot easier for us than it is for women. And I think so too. But I do know some men that attempted and failed. And then I know women who, so at least for me, the women I know who've tried it, some have done well, you know, for a minute, but then they ended up starting to have feelings.
Okay. Because it's I think that's a thin line too, because how do you turn, because when you're friends with someone, you're having feelings for that person you're friend with, or you wouldn't be friends with them. Like, it's not maybe like I want to get with you feelings, but it's still like I care for you feelings. So how do you remove that just because you're having the sexual act? How are you going to remove that? This is still, I don't understand how you say, okay, I'm just having sex, but not with my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just having sex. You know, how can you separate? Because it's like the vagina is connected to the friend, or, you know what I'm saying? So how can you have a total separation? Because when I hear men speak, it really feels like y'all have like a total separation. Like, it don't matter who the coochie is attached to.
Yeah, well,
it's just the coochie.
Like, well,
having sex with the coochie, the box.
Lil Wayne said in one of his songs, he was like, when I come, then I come to my senses. It's like,
oh, you know, my God, that is so deep, Lil Wayne.
In the moment, you know, it's all about that woman, and then you come, and it's like, all right, now I'm ready to
do whatever else.
Exactly, like move on from that, because I've conquered that. I've achieved that, and now it's over. That pleasure that I needed to satisfy,
it's
done.
And so it's ended.
Yeah. Now, I think when you start looking at, as far as a man looking at a woman to be in a relationship with, we start looking at more than just the physical. Because the physical does fade. So if you're looking to have more with this individual, then you're looking at, okay, what characteristic does she possess that I like outside of her physical attributes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why women jump right into it? Because I know women who say they're attracted to the man, but that they're looking at more than that. While the man is all about the physical from the very beginning, because we're physical creatures. So we're looking at that, and then we get to know the woman after. You know what? We get to know her physically.
You're right, because you could be attracted to a man and ready to go, and then there'll be just one thing, and you be like,
it's done.
Yeah,
and your friends are like, girl, you like, you haven't talked to him. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like that for men. Like it's been women that I've dealt with that are extremely attractive, but that's all they possess.
Yeah.
So, then friends are like, man, what happened to so-and-so? And I'm like, man, you didn't have to talk to her. You didn't have to engage her and interact with her. I was like, all she had was the looks. Yeah. That was it. Once you closed that door, there were no other doors to open. It was just the one. So, and that doesn't last. Your looks only, keep, as far as, and I'm only speaking for myself, will only keep me for a good month. And then after that, I'm like, okay, what else do you possess outside of that? Yeah. Because after a while, I mean, sex is sex. So that physical part, I can achieve that with someone else.
Right.
So it has to be more that the woman is bringing to the table.
Well, it doesn't seem like men and women are like so different. It's just on a different level. I feel like we're almost the same. We just women being more emotional, and I want to say it's because we have a society that I feel like it makes men have less emotions, like suck it up, don't cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how we're bred. We're bred to
move on.
Right, to not be open with our emotions.
Right,
and to display them. You keep them locked away, and you never show them.
Right, and that spills over to a lot of areas in a person's life. So.
Physical, the internal issues.
Yes.
They say it can lead to ulcers for men.
Absolutely.
And other high blood pressure because you're not releasing those emotions.
Yeah. And I try to definitely work on that with my boys. Like, let's talk about it. What are your feelings on it? Because if you don't even, if a guy has never even sat with themselves to even dissect what they're feeling,
right?
It's an emotion, and they can't even pinpoint what it is.
Well, for a man, he needs another man to pull him into that type of vicinity to have those discussions, because a man is not going to, more than likely, he's not going to sit down and be open with the woman because he's not going to feel as comfortable, because a woman is not going to.
Multiple business. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to have multiple businesses. You can't just bank on one, right? And I learned that.
So you have multiple income sources.
Right. Yeah. Because when you're banking, you have multiple talents anyway. Right, so as you step into the entrepreneurship world, you'll realize that you're good at this and you're good at that, and then you have to kind of think, how can you make money off of it? It's a hard place to be though, y'all, because it's ups and downs, especially when you choose I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stick it out. And then for me, I use the platform of a 9 to 5 as backup. right? It's just like, okay, because I have kids. So, you know, if I see my money getting short in my bank account and I know for the next, okay, usually I like to have money in the bank account, like 5 months is taken care of. I know I'd be good for this 5 months. Let me see what I can add to what I got in the bank account so I can make sure I don't have to do a 9 to 5.
Right.
But when I see it getting low and I only have like 2 months left, right? And then I'm looking at my businesses and I'm like, okay, this is slow, this is gonna get slow, this is gonna take time.
Right.
Right. That's when I use a 9 to 5 as a backup. And then luckily, you know, I have experience in teaching and admissions and customer service. So it's easy for me to just be like, okay, let me go to Indeed and pick something real quick. But I'm like the training queen, right? Because I go through a training class and by the time I get to the floor, I'm like on to the next gig. You're like, oh yeah, it's moving now. Yeah, please. I don't know if that's for everybody.
But
you know?
but you don't. So let me just ask you this question: when your businesses start to get a little slow, depending on, you know, if it's affected by the season or whatever, do you, when you start working at 9 to 5, do you give up on them or do you still stay?
Yeah, I still stay with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
I never quit.
I think that's the challenge for people.
Yeah.
Some people be like, you know what, this didn't work.
Now it would delay. No. You never, if you're true to it, and if it's just the spirit that's within you to be an entrepreneur, it's never a quit. It's never a quit. I can't even think of not going to get my own money on my own.
Right.
Because I enjoy it. I like it. So why would I stop doing it? You know what I'm saying? I just find something else. So just, and you can sell anything. That part though, you can pick up anything. I sold a candle for $10. Let me tell you how I did it. I paid $1 for it, right? What I did is I put my label on it, Rose 320. I'm giving away some secrets. Y'all can use that. I put my label on it, Rose 320, and it was an unscented candle. And I took my rose oil and I dropped the rose oil inside of the candle and let it sit until like it seeped all the way in. So when I smelled it, it smelled really, really good, right? And so then I did a lot of people like this nowadays, guys. They want you to, did you energize the candle?
Is that what it's called? Energize?
Yes. I'm like,
well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm about to tell.
Okay.
Did you give the candle intentions? They like to purchase something that has an intention behind it, right? This is the new wave that's going on. So, for instance, so my Rose 320 candle, I put the intention of abundance and prosperity. So every time you light it, listen. So every time you light it, that is what you're lighting it for.
Okay.
It's just, it's basically, it is like a sugar pill. Yeah. You know, when you like, you have an ailment, you take the sugar pill, da da da. And so but people love that. They love it. They can do it they can do it themselves, but they're not gonna do it themselves.
They'd rather have someone else do it and they buy it from them.
Yeah, and it's just this. That's just what.
And that market is always open.
And I paid $1 for the candle. I got connection with my oil, so I got that for free. And then my labels, I paid like $10 for 20 sheets of labels. So you know what I'm saying? So I can use. I have multiple labels. So I gained a lot I profited a lot off this one candle.
You more than doubled.
Right. So this is how you think as an entrepreneur, though.
Yeah.
You know, like I had this conversation with my homeboy earlier today, because I was a part of selling some jewelry. It was called Paparazzi. This was my first time getting a taste of vending. I had got laid off from my admissions position, and I walked over to Corey Convention Center because I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I got laid off because this is when I was going back and forth of being in corporate, because I had convinced myself that I was just going to become the director of admissions. I was like, you know, I'm not going to do.
So you was going to stick with the 9 to 5 at this point?
Yeah, at this point in my life, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So after the training, I got, you know, in the position and, you know, I'm just, I'm a person that to bring people in because they just want to talk to me or something like that. I don't know. I don't do much to get the sale. And so I could see other people around me, or I had conversations with some people around me that made me believe that, you know, they had kind of ill intentions towards me a little bit because they just didn't like the way I was moving. I don't know. I just moved like Tiffany. But anywho, so
They couldn't operate on your level. That's
I don't understand that. It was really nice, and I was learning from her actually because she was in a higher position than I was.
But that's.
I know.
She was
That
there.
part.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I learned that because I called my sister. My sister would tell me what it is. She gave me the tea. So anyway, I had built a rapport with the owner of the company during my training because I went out of town to train. So I built a rapport with him, and I was giving him some tips on what I felt like can be implemented. Anyway, that was the wrong thing to do, people, when you're skin color like mine. Okay. But anyway, so this led to, you know, it was a layoff, and then so I was one that was laid off. So I walked over to Corey Convention Center, and they was having this big vending event, and I see all these people selling stuff, and I'm just like, how did y'all do this? Like, yeah, how can I be a part of it? And there was a paparazzi lady that was selling jewelry. And boom, I was like, well, let me purchase some jewelry, and I'm about to do this. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna get out here and I'm gonna sell stuff. That's literally how it happened. The next day, you know, she was giving me some jewelry and stuff, and I was going to seek out vending spaces where I could set up. I set up in my freaking driveway, me and Noah, in my driveway, selling jewelry. And I would tell Noah to hold the sign because he was cute and hold the sign.
And people would stop.
You know, people would stop. You know what I'm saying? So, but what I realized, it's like I'm purchasing the jewelry, right? And so I was only selling the jewelry for $5. I was kind of, you know, and I was purchasing the pieces like for $2.50, right?
So you was doubling.
Right. So, but then they told me like where I could sell and where I couldn't sell, and you can't go on this social media site, and so all of that makes me feel claustrophobic right there. It makes me feel like I'm in a box, and I'm just not realizing this because I had to play. You know, I was evaluating myself a couple of weeks ago, and then like it played in my mind. I was like, oh, that made me feel like I was being boxed in. That's why I did this, right? So, so they telling me all these rules and stuff, and I'm like, so boom, I was like, I ain't selling y'all jewelry. But this was on a spiteful level, really. I was just like, I could do this myself. I could just buy my own jewelry. I could go to the Goodwill and purchase some jewelry and then, you know, sell it. Matter of fact, I could make my own jewelry, right? Yeah. So, peep how I made the jewelry, y'all. This is where you have to be very clever as an entrepreneur. You do not want to spend a lot to make money. Mm-hmm. You want to spend the least
as
amount
little as possible.
Right?
Or get someone else to spend their money.
Right. So I had a line. I was like sitting and like that's when I was really meditating. Then I was really on point. I done slacked off so much. But anyway, and so I was like, what can I sell that is a part of me? Boom, feathers. Okay, what feathers?
Feathers are part of you.
I was like, it's because you know my nickname is a fairy, so whatever. That's another story.
Fairies have feathers.
They have little wings.
Okay.
You know, like you know. So I was like, you know, feathers. You know, and then I was like, they could be called freedom feathers, right? So literally, I'm outside at the park.
Freedom feathers.
I'm outside at the park picking up feathers. Did I pay for my feathers? No.
Pigeon feathers.
Oh, whoever feathers. Ducks. And they were some pretty feathers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm out there picking up feathers. Then I go online and I see how to make some earrings out of feathers.
Okay.
And so I got the whole, I didn't even have to buy no other kit because mind you, when I bought my paparazzi stuff, that it came with jewelry kits. You know, so if your jewelry fall apart or something, you could like mend it back together. So I had all the tools
to build it.
And then then I had leftover products from Paparazzi, which you cannot sell if you're not a part of that. So they tell you not to sell it. But I'm a rebel, and I was gonna sell it anyway, but I didn't have to, because what I did is took apart their jewelry and then connected it to the feathers. You see what I'm saying? So I would use their clips, you know, like that you put in, but the dangling part would be my feather. I'd have glued it to it. Man, I sold them daggone feathered earrings for like 6 months and made some good money off of those feathered earrings. Yeah. And then I started purchasing more. I started purchasing feathers after I made some profit. You know what I'm saying? But at first, my feathers were
just what you could locate.
What you could find, at the park. Yeah. So that's what you gotta do. You have to be very clever as an entrepreneur. It's no giving up. It's no quitting. And then some people do try to quit, but if you're a true entrepreneur, it eats you up in the inside. Like
it calls you. Yeah.
It calls you back. Yeah. And so that's when I was evaluating myself a couple of weeks ago. I realized I was just like, oh, that's that feeling of suffocating, being in the box, and and feeling like it's no way out. I only get that feeling when I'm in a 9-to-5, even when I use the 9-to-5, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use them for this period of time. Mm-hmm. But as I'm in it, I feel that feeling. It's not a good feeling to have for me. It's like, oh, you're gonna tell me when I have to work.
Yeah. When you have to take a break, when you can go to lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much they're gonna pay you.
Yeah, that part too. Yeah.
Sometimes, that definitely becomes a discussion. Unless you feel like you are being valued, both financially and
that makes a difference too.
It does.
It does. And if you like it, you like it. Yeah.
And it is. For a lot of people, and I'm one of those, who do work, and for a lot of us, it is where you're working a job that you enjoy.
Yeah,
you went
satisfied.
to school for, but again, if you can establish something on your own, to me, I think that's always the route to go. It's just to do that. So is to build your own, as you know, the work that's involved is 10 times more than just going to, because when you go to work for somebody who's already established,
right?
Everything is there for you just to step right in and to start operation.
That part.
When you're doing it on your own, you are the operation.
And you're learning constantly. You're learning constantly. I've just learned something else about myself, being an entrepreneur, and I think I mentioned it to you earlier. I was like, opportunities always come to me, and I don't know what to do with it. It's just like why am I always giving opportunities? Because sometimes you have opportunities and it's just not for you to partake in that opportunity, because it's going to make everything else crazy, because you need stability, you need a balance, right? So I know not to take on a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, I'm just like, why would the universe give me opportunities then? Like, what am I supposed to do with all these things? So a friend of mine told me today, it was just something that resonated with me, like, oh my God, yeah. She was like, well, why don't you, she was like, you're the plug. Okay. So why don't you just get a percentage off of bringing people together? Not necessarily the opportunity is not for you. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that opportunity is for someone else that you probably know. And that came into play because yesterday I felt the need to go to Winston-Salem and network with this young lady I've been seeing on social media. She has a hemp company. So I went to her establishment and we hit it off, and she needs someone to take over a spa because her hemp company has done her well. And so she was running a spa, but she don't have time to run the spa, right? And so then she was like, it's only $3,000 a month. She was like, and then I'm just looking at her. I was like, this is beautiful. She was showing me the place and whatnot. It looks like an apartment. It has like a rooftop. It was just dope. It was just so dope. Like I could see myself there. Like I was like, I am here. Okay, anyway. And so she was like, yeah. She was like, when I first got the place, I had to move in so I could make sure I had covered everything. Okay. And then I was like, you said that I can move in right here? She was like, yeah, it's a couple of bedrooms down there. I was like, is it two? Yeah, I got 2 kids. Like, I am like,
You
yo,
already
I
put it
am.
together in your mind. You're like, I'm about to make this work. This is about to happen today.
Let me tell you how many phone calls I went through a whole list of calling people to see if they wanted to invest. Like, I was so serious.
So let's just talk about, okay, so if you always have opportunities, you like, what do you how do you handle all those opportunities? And my thing is, and I'm gonna make this statement, and people take it how you want to take it, but every time a woman is pregnant, that's an opportunity, but does she always have the baby? So that is an opportunity to bring life into the world, but they don't always take it. So it's the same thing when opportunities of this nature falls in your lap.
You did tell me that earlier, Broadbell. It made me think. I was kind of dark and evil at the same time.
But you got to think about it. Just because opportunities come your way, you can't take on everything.
I know.
You can't give birth every time you give birth, and that means you need to put in. You need to be a little more mindful of the steps you're taking.
Yeah, because I was about to move in, y'all.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna do it. But instead, now I'm just seeking people out that might want to take that opportunity,
Right.
and then I'm going to get a percentage off of it for connecting them.
Okay.
And then at the same time, I realized that the bigger picture why I was there was to connect this hemp farmer with another hemp farmer, Courtney, that has been on the show.
Right.
So we go down to her farm tomorrow to meet, and I'm gonna put a contract together. This is another tip. When you have people meet, you can write your percentage in a contract. If their company merged together and they do well, then be a part of that contract. And so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm learning because.
But that's good. But it's you can't take on every opportunity that comes with it, because if you're spreading yourself so thin, how much are you enjoying? And then you have to think about, what is my goal? Is my goal is just to make as much money under the sun, but are you enjoying the the fruits of your labor? Because you're too busy going from one job to the next. As soon as you complete that, you're going to the next. And you're not getting to spend time with those you love. You're not able to spend time with the friends you enjoy being around because you're too busy working. So now you're making this money, but you're not benefiting from all this money you're making because you're on the go. And then how is that affecting you health-wise? Because you're not eating like you should. You're not resting like you should.
Yeah.
So it's all, there's always a balance.
Yeah.
It's one thing you have to take, with it all. And I'm one who do not believe in chasing after the dollar. I feel like it comes based on performance. And and some of it is luck and being in the right place.
It's the chase that I like.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like when men say they like the chase and the hunt.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized, that I like that. I like to chase and hunt the next opportunity. I love the way it feels. I love to see if it works. You know what I'm saying? And so that is what does it for me. I love that new feeling, like if you're telling me something that's new and then my wheels get to turning, like how can we make this work?
Ideas start to generate. Yeah.
That's just a turn on for me. So, but at the same time, it can get a little bit like, Tiffany.
When your plate is already full, and then you take on something else, and then something else suffers.
Yes.
Because of you trying to take on another opportunity. The thing is,
I like the way you put that.
Yeah, it's good that you're acknowledging the opportunity, because so many people don't. So many people are waiting on that one thing that they have their mind set on, and they keep getting all these other opportunities that are falling in their lap, that are presenting themselves, but they're shying away, or they have blinders on it that they don't even see it because they're only looking for this one thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take on other opportunities during the interim that kind of move you to where you do get that opportunity. It's almost like how they say, making a lateral move. Sometimes, that step forward it's not always there for you. Sometimes you need to go sideways and then come around to it, because you need to pick up these pieces, you know, laterally, and then you can make that step forward, and now you're in a better position to do that.
You're right on that. Yeah, but you know, I'm still learning, wet behind the ears.
Yeah, but we all are. You know, you should always be. You know, I mean, you talk about all the time. You should always be in that zone of taking on knowledge at all times.
So tomorrow I have to tell the young lady that. Yeah, no, I'm serious. I was like, just go ahead and get the contract together. Like, I was so serious that was meant for me, you know.
Yeah. And then the next day, something else is gonna pop up that is meant for you, and the day after is meant for you.
That's why I was like, why does this keep? But now I'm realizing it's really a gift. It's like, I don't know why that happens for me.
A baby is a gift, isn't it?
It is.
Getting pregnant
is a gift, but you don't have to open every gift. You don't. You want to.
Do you always want to?
I do want to open every gift, but you know, to be able to handle the gift, that's why people don't have the babies, is because the way they handle and support, you know, that gift is
the work that's involved for it to be successful.
Exactly, that part.
Yeah,
and that's what, going forward in my life, the discipline in working that one thing is more important to me now. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Like, I've worked one thing before, like one of my companies, and I think I might be going a little haywire because I don't have that like I used to. Like with my film, paper to film, like not being able to create with these students.
But that's more the impact of
COVID.
Right. Okay. So that's.
But the emotion is there from it. It's not a normal, and I have to remind myself of that because that had really made me feel like I wasn't doing shit this summer. Because I was so used, my body was used to the summertime being all the way filled from the beginning to the end, to the school let out, boom, till school starts. I was going to be no sleep.
Right. Just operating.
And I like it. You know what I'm saying? So not having that made me feel like I wasn't doing enough, which then I would allow just anything on my plate because I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. But random thoughts. I love random thoughts because I'm learning as we're speaking right now about myself. You know?
That's a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's.
I think I spoke more than you this time.
Oh, was that the goal? Was that the
goal?
No,
really. I'm just very talkative today. I feel really good.
Yeah, that's good. Let's get your thoughts out there.
Yeah.
Because I always got something to say.
Yeah. Yes, that's why we came up with random thoughts.
Maybe I need to be quiet sometimes. But I think I am a good listener. But it's funny. Because if you would ask, it's something you and I talk about, and I'm sure everyone can agree to this. Different people see you in a different view. Some people know me as extremely quiet. Some people know me as very playful. Some people know me as really silly. Some people, know me as, and I say that because somebody just mentioned to me the other day. They was like, "Oh, you're such an intellectual, and I'm such this and this," and I'm like, "They just don't know me. Like they had this one conversation with me, and that's what they took, and it's because we were talking about certain things. So the verbiage I was using was directly related to that conversation because that's what the topic." Was dealing with, but of course, that was like one of two conversations we've had.
Right.
So they don't know, and I think I used certain words in that conversation that made them take a viewpoint on me, and I'm one where I'm not gonna correct you and be like, but it was just funny, and I was like, but I was like, maybe that's how they'll always see me, the same way. I have family members who, think I'm quiet. I remember one time my brother was like, he thought I was so quiet until he saw me around a different group of people.
Yeah.
And he saw me in a different element that I operated in.
That's that Gemini. No, I don't have that. It's like, I swear, sometimes I feel like I should hold back a little bit and maybe be more. I don't know, that wouldn't be me. No, so like really, like if you sit down, if I have a conversation with you, within that conversation, I'm gonna vary. My personality is gonna be everywhere.
Yeah. See, for me, it just depends. Sometimes I'm just in a observant type of mood where it's not, and there's nothing wrong. I just don't have nothing to say, and I'm just really just listening to everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and I'm just taking it in.
Right. Yeah.
But then that group that I was with,
I
came off to them as, being quiet. And probably every time I meet with them, I'm probably just chill. Yeah, so they just think, I'm quiet. And then, but it's funny because when you get people talking, and they're like, oh, you know this person as well? And they're like, yeah. And then they get to talking, and they're like, yeah, he's quiet. And they're like, what? What do you mean quiet? And it's like, oh, and then people realize they know different parts of you. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I've only experienced that one time, and it was purposely because I was on my whole listen type of kick.
It was proactively listen. Is that
very much so.
Why?
It's a weird thing.
Okay.
I was going through.
Okay.
Because I was told by the Spirit. No, I was just like really compelled to do it. Right. So the leadership program that I was in, the whole time I was very quiet. Like I observed towards the end, or when we, went out to drink and stuff, I started coming out a little bit at the end, but pretty much the whole time I was listening, and they would have to say, Tiffany, what do you have to say to it? Right. And the only reason why I was listening is because there was so many different people in the room from different backgrounds and experiences, and as an adult, that was my first time experiencing something like that. Okay. And I wanted to soak all of it in, and I wanted to hear, why they act a certain type of way, because that's the type of work we was doing. I knew why. I had a notion of why I act a certain type of way, but I wanted to know, what made you the person you are right now, and I wanted to see if I could relate to that in any type of way before I, said anything. So that was my only experience then. Like, if I see them now, they know me because I peeled back a lot of layers with them, but they wouldn't know me like chilling, hanging out, rah, they wouldn't know that Tiffany. Yeah. So I think that's the only group I can say wouldn't know really who I am. But usually when I meet someone, it's just like, oh, we should hang out later. Like, I'm always making friends.
Let's say, it just depends. But I also think that creates balance, to be different at certain points. And I will say, it's different when it comes to certain environments you're in. Certain environments, you operate a certain way to, benefit you in that environment. So you proactively, act a certain way to make sure you get the most out of that environment.
Maybe that's why I did that then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to like just interacting with, people in general, as far as building friendships, I do know that some friends see me one way, some friends see me, and it just depends on, sometimes I look at it as what they kind of pull out of me, or just, what the vibe I get, from them, and this is what I show externally. Or it could just be, I'm just a complicated individual.
It could be that. It could be that because I do know for me, like, I'm just like, anytime I'm going into a certain atmosphere, and this is the whole theatrical part of my ass, I need to just sit down somewhere. But literally, sometimes I'm like, I'm about to take over this atmosphere right now. Like, we're gonna do what I want. Like, I don't know, it's a feeling I could get if I could control the room. I don't know. I've done that since I was young.
Is that like the strong J moment? Where
It is a
you
kind
become
of, but I'm not
center
like
of
over.
attention
I'm
and-
not over the top with it.
Okay.
You know, I can recognize, and this is leadership skills right here. When you go into a room and you can recognize that they need a leader,
Yeah.
and that's all it is.
Yeah. So you step in there, you know.
And I do that in a lot of different situations in my life.
Something wrong with that.
I do, yeah,
Wrong
it's
with that.
not. And some people call it. I know my family members, they call it the takeover spirit.
The takeover.
She got that takeover spirit.
I like that. I like that.
Trying to take over shit.
Some people need to discover that.
Yeah, it's beneficial, and then sometimes you need to sit down and you need to observe. But I
Yeah.
love it. I love it when I go into an atmosphere and it's somebody else that's already doing that.
Mm.
Like I'm attracted to people that do it
Okay.
because I understand what it is.
Right.
So I'm really gonna go to that person more so than talk and speak with anybody else. I'm gonna go to the person that has the floor, that has the room. If I go into the room and it's a speaker, I'm looking at the speaker and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna introduce myself to that speaker. When they get down off the floor, like we're gonna be networking. We're gonna be
Right.
friends because I'm always thinking about networking anyway.
No, you're excellent at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna work the room, I walk, and so I just like doing that. It's just a part of me. But that takeover spirit. So my mom also has that, but I think she uses hers in a different type of way.
Okay.
Hers is more of she could see a space and make it pretty, like bring in dishes, yeah, it's just weird. Like,
So she enhances the area.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she does it like that. And with my energy, I do it. I want to bring things out of people that is in there.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know it.
You just don't know it yet. I'm about to pull it out.
Oh, yeah, let's play around with
Okay.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. It could be both.
Yeah, I say it'd be both.
Yeah.
Again, probably with anything, as long as there's some type of balance.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
it, then you're in good
I'm
shape.
giving y'all too much of me. See, like now, I shouldn't be giving y'all all this of me. Yeah, I can't. But let's just be quiet and get this moment of silence while the train go by.
I know. I'm like, what the hell? Every time, we're not transporting that many products.
Apparently we are.
uh,
This is the time that the train goes by. Yeah, during our show.
I know.
But yeah, this was good. I mean, I really had a lot to say today.
I know, and I'm proud of you.
Oh,
it was
thank
good
you,
to hear.
Rondo.
You know, because I think everyone knows that I am the voice. No, I'm just playing. No,
He's not playing, guys. I hear this all the time. Please help me. I don't know what I got myself into.
I think with that we can get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So everyone, always thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us. So we do want to do this.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
We're
You
gonna
got that
post
problem.
this on YouTube as we do with all of them, but we ask that everyone that you subscribe. And I was one who was always the type to be like, well, what the hell do I get by subscribing? So because it's just a non point to be making if there's nothing to be gained from it. I found out. Me and Speaks are talking, and when you subscribe now, every time that we post one of our podcasts, instead of you having to look it up, now you get a notification for it, and it's at no cost. It's free. It's really just taking that couple of seconds just to hit subscribe, and it's already there on the YouTube page. And when you do that now, like I said, every time we post a show, you'll get a notification. If you want to listen to it right then or later, you then have that option, but no longer do you have to go through and search to see when we posted a show. Now you'll get that notification letting you know each time that we post a show, and now it's at your you know,
Convenience.
exactly, to when you want to listen and when you don't.
Yeah.
And then it makes you also, again, aware of when we're putting out new shows, because you might be like, I wonder if they did a show lately. And now you got to go on YouTube and search. Instead, now you'll get that notification. You're like, oh, they just did a show, and then you can see the topic, you can see what the conversation was about, and you be like, oh, they did it on this, and now you know if you're interested or if you're not interested.
Yeah.
So please, we do ask, you know, just for that reason, you know, to go ahead and subscribe, and then you can find us on IG at Brabell_speaks. And then also too, you can always email us if there's ever a question about any of the comments. We love that, as well as when we go live, we're going to start answering questions as we go live. But the email is brabellspeaks03@gmail.com.
And also, you can hear all of our shows on 105.1 live.
Yes. And we're also coming out on additional social media as well.
Already. We are? No, I'm just asking.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's wrap up Random Thoughts. Everyone, stay tuned for the next one.
Yes, peace.
Yes, peace.
That was fun.
She said we are friends.
Already.
Yes, I'm speaking it.
Yes, you are.